This is PowerPoint Module 1, SAM Textbook Project, Part 2. Okay, we're going to make changes to some of the slide text content. We're going to learn to delete some text, make changes as we need to. So we're going to go on to slide 3 and select it. And we want to locate the word facilities, which is in the title. They have you start from the end and go and highlight either way. Hit the delete key on the keyboard, add a space, and then add the word services in its place. Now, they also have decided we're going to change our theme colors. I'm just going to click away from that for right now. I'm going to select the first slide because you'll see the difference in the theme colors mostly from this slide. So we want to go to Design tab on our ribbon again, and we want to go to the More button for the themes, and we should see colors here, and I am not seeing colors. So let me pause this for a second and see what's going on. Okay, if I could read. I knew where it was supposed to be, but I was following the directions and it didn't make sense to me because obviously the colors are under the variants. And when you click on that More button, here's where you see the colors. So we want to choose the, let me make sure we're getting the right one here, yellow orange. And you can see how it affects the background of the first slide, which is why I wanted to use this slide to view our change. Now, it's always good to have speaker's notes. When you're up there presenting, sometimes like me, I'm doing it kind of freestyle right now in my recording, and I'm trying to use the book as my guide, and I'm having to turn pages, and it gets, I slow down, you hear me pause because I don't have everything right in front of me. I'm having to constantly look to the side in order to get the information that I'm typing in or that I'm telling you about. So it's really nice to have speaker's notes so that you can have them on the podium with you as you go through your presentation. To add the notes, we want to click on the little button down on the status bar for notes, and it's a small little area to type for notes. When you click to add notes, it's going to use a specific font size, and you can't change the way it looks here, but if you did change the font size here and you go to print preview, you can see how big you made the letters. So I'll try to demonstrate that for you, even though they don't cover that in the textbook. So the first note here, and let's just make sure first of all that we're on the right slide, and we're not, so let's go to slide 3. Our note is still there, the note pane is still there. Slide 3, we offer quality dog and cat grooming services. Performed by our expert pet stylist, period. Experienced, I don't think I said experienced. Now you'll notice how small these are, and you're not going to be able to make it bigger here, but if you wanted to make the pane bigger, you can just resize that. It makes the slide pane smaller, but it's easier for you to see what you're typing, and you don't, run out of viewable area in your notes pane. Sorry. Okay, let's see. We will pamper your pet with a bath, comma, nail trimming, comma, and ear cleaning, period. Sorry, we were interrupted with the telephone ringing. It's the ear cleaning. That was what I was trying to finish typing on that sentence. If it remembers that I was typing at all. Period, space. Services vary in price. Based on the animal's breed and size, period. Apostrophe S. Then we want to go to the next slide to put a note in, will be slide 4. So if we click on slide 4, you can see it's still keeping the size that I made of the note pane. This one's going to say obedience training is fun and rewarding. For your dog and for you. Period. Our classes focus on essential commands and socialization. Okay. Now, I can resize this to bring it back down. And I want to save what I've done, so go ahead and save yours. They talk about the spell checker now, and we're going to run spell check. If you added spell check to PowerPoint, or if you haven't, in the quick access toolbar, you can pull that down and check mark the spelling. I'm going to remove it, and then I'm going to come back and put it in there, okay? Or you can go to the review tab on the ribbon and choose the spell check from the proofing group. Now, I prefer to start this at the top. They're having us start at this last slide, or this second slide, so that's okay, because they're going to demonstrate something here for us. We knew we misspelled vaccinations, and the correct word is the first one highlighted here, so we want to click on change. We misspelled obedience, and there's the correct word there is obedience, so we're going to click on it and change, and we'll say okay. And let's see here. Just to show you, I'm going to click on slide 1. I'm going to run it again. So it went ahead and checked through everything, and we're good to go. Just want to make sure. I'm going to save that. Now, they talk about document properties, and remember back in the first Word one, we had to do a property setting in the SAM textbook project, and also in the graded assignment. I think it was Word Module 1. And they just talk about that, but they don't have us do that this time, which is good. They do want us to look at different views as we're looking at our slideshow. So we're going to click on, make sure slide 1 is the first one you have selected. And down on the status bar are some views. You have the normal view, the slide sorter view, the reading view, and slideshow. They want you to switch to slide sorter view. And this was the place that you would go, just like we have the thumbnails when we look at the normal screen. You don't have to do this, but let me just show you. You could rearrange the furniture. That's why it was called, or rearrange the slides. That's why it was called a slide sorter. And you could put it wherever you needed it to go. Also, we're not doing it now, but when you want to add transitions to multiples, you could be able to select the first one. Let's say you want to get all of them inclusive, so I did a shift click. And then I could add a transitional effect, and they would all use that same transition. So using the slide sorter was a way to do exactly what the title says, sort your slides, and it would also allow you to, move them around and also assign certain animation and transitional effects. Now, let's see here. They want us to go to the reading mode, which is not a good mode in my book for slides. It's better here. It's kind of hard to tell that you're in reading mode, but if you just click, it'll go to the previous. It's almost like it's running a slideshow. So, like I said, it's not as bad as the Word document when we were trying to look at the flyer. And as you click on, it says end of show, click to exit. You just click your mouse button. You can also hit your space bar. But now we're back into the slide sorter view, and we're not going to run the slideshow just yet because we're going to start from beginning. So I'm going to just switch back to normal view, which is what they ask you to do. And then we do have the button down here at the bottom for slideshow. And I'm going to put it on, this is different from the book, I'm going to put it on slide 2, and if I start it down here, it's going to start, and I'm sorry, it switches over from a person who has dual screens, it splits it, so now you can see what it looks like, okay? So it'll start on the slide you were using. Now we'll escape out of that to escape it. But up here on in your quick access toolbar, if you have the start from beginning checked, it'll be up here in your quick access toolbar. Otherwise, it will be in the slideshow tab, and you can say from beginning. And then the one we chose down on the status bar was from current slide. So you could start it from beginning, and let me just switch my displays so it works better for what we're wanting to do. The space bar or a mouse click, either way, will step you through your slides, and when you get to the blank slide, just click again, and you're back into your edit mode for your slides themselves at the slide pane view or normal view. Okay. They talk about saving, and then they talk a lot about printing slides, and they don't really have us print, or I don't want you to print for Sam, but you need to know different ways of printing. So I'm going to go walking through this section anyway. You can print the full slides, but if you are going to print full slides in full color, you may be asked by a circulation desk clerk in the library or the lab supervisor in an open lab, are you really needing to print in color? Is this required for your class work? Because it takes an awful lot of color toner from color laser printers, or if it's an inkjet printer, it uses up an awful lot of color ink to print the full slide in color. And if you have like 15, 20, 30, 40 slides, you're just going to eat up all the color. So we always want you to make sure that if you've got to do the full slides, that a teacher has asked you to do that, and you're honest enough to tell us, hey, you know, our teacher wants us to do this. And oftentimes we'll ask the teachers that are, you know, needed the color, you know, administration may just say, you know, can you please limit the number that you're printing because it's more expensive to print in color. Okay, now, to print the full slides, you could go to the File tab on the ribbon and go to Print. If I can get Print to show up. Okay, here we go. Now, you can see this is one of 4 slides, and you can see it's going to print a slide per page. Now I'm going to go back to the first one. You can also, here's the Print All Slides. You can click on the pull-down list arrow there, and you could choose Print Only the Current Slide. So if you chose that, it says 1 of 1 here. If you go back to that same setting and choose Custom Range, and let's say you're going to type, you're not going to print the last slides, you're going to do 1-3, and you kind of tab out of that. So now you only see the 3 slides that you want to print. Okay. The thing you got to remember is if you set it to 3 and there's 4 slides, you might want to change that again. So we want to just kind of delete that out of there. We'll tab out so we have the full 4. Now, full page slides. Here's 1 slide per page, and that's what it's set to. We want to print, let's say we want to print 2 slides per page. We're saving some paper, and hopefully when we print 2 slides per page, we can still see when it prints. This saves paper because there's only two pieces of paper that have to be used. And in my case, right now, I have it print on both sides of the paper. If you're going to use this as handouts, and we're going to look at handouts here in just a minute, because maybe the text is too small on the handouts to print handouts, so you chose to do 2 slides per page. You can also choose not to print both sides if you don't want to. Some of you may have a built-in stapler part of your printer. Our Xerox copy, fax, whatever you want to call that, is also our printer, And it has a built-in stapler, so we can choose whether or not we want staples or not. And of course, we have portrait orientation and we have colors here. But let's take a look at the 2 slides per page. And then if I wanted to do 6, of course I only have 4. So you see what happens with 6. If I chose to do 4, let me get there. It's either 4 slides horizontal, 1, 2, 3, 4, or it could be 4 slides vertical, 1, and then below it's 2, then next to it at the top is 3, and then 4. And then there is the, the notes pages. And you could, let's go to the next slide. Remember how we had notes that we typed? You could have these printed out so you have them on the podium. The text is relatively small, but we could still have those on the podium so that we could state this or remember to say something about this, about our grooming services. Won't be part of the handouts, but it'll be part of the script that you're using to talk about your presentation. All right, notes page. And let's see here. 3 slides per page. We typically like to do this as the handout because they have a place to write notes beside each of the slides if they wanted to. The only problem that I would have with using this, and I like this particular layout, is how small the text is. You would want to print this one time just to see whether or not people could read the text in the slide, because if they can't, it's not doing them any good to receive this slideshow printed out this way. And then we're going to go back to, there is an outline mode, and you can just see if it's a page that just has a picture only, like grooming services, it just has the title there. But otherwise, if it has little bullets or whatever, you can expand those out, or you see them expanded out. You can't see the pictures that are underneath basic and advanced skills or small group sizes, but they are there as content titles over those particular pictures. So you don't see the pictures in the outline view. So I'm just going to switch it back to full slides for now because I'm not going to print. And they want us to take a look at grayscale. Now, if you have a color printer and you're connected to a color printer, it will default to your color printer. Now, I just changed this to color, and you'll notice I don't see the color. And that's because I'm connected to a non-color printer. Let me switch my printer to our little bitty inkjet printer here. And now you can see the color. And so if I wanted to print in color, I could get this printed in color. Now, the grayscale and the black and white. If I choose grayscale for this artisan printer, which is supposed to be a color printer, it's looking pretty much the same way it did for the other printer. If I choose black and white, pure black and white, notice how it strips out some of the background image, but it saves on your toner. So you don't have to have so much of your ink or your toner wasted in trying to print these slides, especially as full slides. Now, I'm going to go back and switch my printer to good old Wombat. I don't know how we got to be calling it Wombat. And I'm just going to leave it at grayscale. And I'm just going to step back out. Even though they would say to print in here, we are not going to print. But I wanted you to see that and see how you would work with that. Now, the other thing they do that they don't have a save, but we need to practice with a little bit, is how to get help. And if you click on the Help tab on the ribbon, they've got some new stuff here. They've got contact support, and here it is, the help pane is popping up. And of course, they want you to type in what you're having a problem with, and then you click on Get Help. I'm not typing in a problem at this point in time. If I want to show some training, show me some training sessions. Oh, these are really nice. If you're needing some help with some of this stuff, these are some great little trainings that they have that you can just watch. Feedback. Wouldn't you know? They want you to let them know if you like something. They want you to know if you don't like something or something that doesn't work like it's supposed to. And then if you have a suggestion for a new feature or improvement, they'd like to know your input on that. I'd want to be paid for that, wouldn't you, if I come up with a totally new suggestion? You know, I think they ought to pay us for our bright ideas. At any rate, I'm kind of making fun of that. But, you know, if you have a suggestion, here's a place to maybe let Microsoft know. I've got a couple of things I'd like them to fix. And then if you just go back out of the feedback, the help itself will bring up the help pane, and you can see several different categories. You can also search for what you're looking for, and I think they have us type in the word fonts just to search for it. And here we can find out several different results for fonts, changing the fonts in a presentation, changing the font size, and also showing more. Give me more things to look at if those first topics weren't good enough. Now, after we have played around with that, they also want to use the Tell Me box in here. Now, we've used the Tell Me box before, but we'll close out the Help pane. And up here, tell me what you want to do. Just type in border. And then you can look at, and they want you to select border style from this choice. And you have a subtitle. And I guess you could select a border if you wanted one. Okay? Don't select one, please. Just escape out of that. Save it. I always like to be at the top of my slideshow, and I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to close out this PowerPoint presentation because we want it closed before we upload it to Sam. I'm going to go into my Mind tab. I'm going to go Continue, and I'm going to use the Upload button. I'm going to locate the file that I was working with. I need to go back a couple of levels and get in PowerPoint. PowerPoint 1, and I'm just going to move that over a little bit. It's the only PowerPoint one I have in here, so I'm going to select it. It's got the right name. Submit. Because it has pictures and things, it takes a little longer for that upload. Hopefully everything checks out good and I can review my report. Now, I want to make sure it's going in the right location for my report, and it is, so I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to open it. Now, good. It will tell you that the final graded summary report is this last slide. It's the slide that they added. So if you click on that, hopefully you made 100 out of 100. I should have gone through here and made some mistakes to demonstrate how you would have to go in and fix the mistakes. I do want to tell you that if you had made a mistake on a slide, it would also have up at the top, just like you have a little box here that says where you can find your report. It would have something like that to explain what's wrong with the slide if you had some mistakes on the slide. Let me close that out, and let me go open up the original slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm off the screen here just a second. So here's my original file that we were working with. If it ever, oops, that's not it. Okay. Let me go into my USB drive, wherever it is. There it is. Let me get the file we were working with really quickly. I'll go and make a mistake, okay? So what I'm going to do for a mistake, I'm going to not italicize the word quality on the first slide. On the second slide, yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave grooming services alone. And I'm going to add another S to classes. And I should run my spell checker, right? It would have caught it with a spell check. And I would hope that that would eventually get caught too. But let's pretend I did run my spell check, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to resubmit it. So I'm going to close it out as soon as it gets done saving it. I'm going to go back into Blackboard, or actually into MindTap, but I have to start over again and go down to the first PowerPoint. We'll get to it. PowerPoint Module 1 SAM Textbook Project. Launch it. You're going to note that I've done one attempt already, as soon as it brings it up. Okay, I don't need to do it again, but I'm demonstrating a boo-boo, or mistakes. So I'm going to start a new attempt, and start. And I'm going to upload this one that has a mistake in it. And we're going to go submit. And as before, the pictures are chunky. Okay, get my report. This for me will be report 2. And I want to open it. And let's see what kind of mistakes we made. Okay, it tells me to find the graded summary, but then it says step 4 on slide 1, the text quality should be formatted using italic font style. So it's pretty good at telling me that that's supposed to have been italicized. I don't fix it here, remember. Well, then I'm going to go to the next slide. I don't have a boo-boo there. Don't seem to have one there. I'm going to click here, and it's really weird because they didn't catch that double S there. So let's see what the score is. Okay. Now, I am shocked and surprised that they did not catch that S in classicises. So, oops. I guess I need to report that to Cengage, don't I? So, I had only missed 3 points from not italicizing quality. I'm really curious as to why that didn't catch that. But that just goes to show you should proofread. All right. And this will conclude the presentation of the second part of PowerPoint Module 1 SAM Textbook Project Part 2. I hope that this helps you in learning PowerPoint for the first PowerPoint module, and that it'll help you to get your homework assignment completed.